Joan Rivers said that Michelle Obama was a man before she died. When
was that a joke? I thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too, but the way she said it wasn't like jokey. She was like, oh, come on, everybody knows Michelle Obama's the man.
Michelle Obama surprised fans on our new podcast by saying her pet peeve about her husband is that he's chronically late. For example, we're still waiting on him to admit he's from Kenya. And as for Barack's pet peeve about Michelle, he's mad that she keeps leaving the toilet seat up. When she cleans it. When she cleans it.
For years, Michelle Obama seemed untouchable. She wasn't just a former First Lady. She was a cultural phenomenon, a beacon of empowerment, and the queen of a carefully curated brand of inspirational positivity. Her image was a fortress, seemingly impenetrable to the usual political mudslinging. But then, two unlikely figures armed with microphones and a complete lack of fear decided to take a sledgehammer to the walls. Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld didn't just poke holes in her legacy, they obliterated the entire narrative. They unmasked a side of the beloved icon that her fans refused to see, leaving one massive question hanging in the air. What did they uncover that so thoroughly shattered her public image?
Joe Rogan is calling out Oprah and Michelle Obama for hypocritical speeches at the DNC. Watch.
She's up there talking about income inequality. Like, hey, lady.
Yeah, I know.
You're rich as Like, how is that equal? And also, when Michelle Obama was saying, you know, I think she was saying her mother or grandmother was always suspicious of people who took more than they needed.
Yes.
Like, you are worth so much money.
Take more than they need. The Obamas have 4 mansions.
I mean, it's a bunch of rich people talking about rich people.
The first crack in the armor wasn't a complex conspiracy. It was a simple, glaring contradiction. Rogan, on his massive platform, zeroed in on Michelle's speeches about the struggles of ordinary people and the evils of inequality. He played clips of her talking about people who took more than they needed, and then calmly pointed out the obvious. This was a woman who, along with her husband, owned 4 sprawling mansions. The message was clear. How can you lecture the country on greed from a palace? It was a powerful blow because it was simple and true. The Obamas weren't just well off. They were fabulously wealthy, and her speeches on humility began to ring hollow. The image of the relatable mom from Chicago was starting to clash with the reality of the multi-millionaire lifestyle.
So, president dies, everyone in the world shows up, and she doesn't break her vacation? It's not like she doesn't have access to a jet. Something is going on. Let's speculate.
Yes, please.
It's either surgery.
Oh.
That was my least controversial thing.
Depends what kind of surgery.
She will not sit close to the dictator. And by that, I don't mean Hillary, I mean Donald Trump. Or there's trouble in paradise between Barack and Michelle. I've heard things. I'm not going to substantiate that by repeating these rumors on national TV like I just did. But I'm just saying it's very odd that she's not there.
Yeah, we should ask Mike.
Or the first woman
We already
president.
have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty funny how she said it.
Okay, we all know it.
But financial hypocrisy was just the appetizer. The main course was a culinary disaster served up in school cafeterias nationwide. Michelle Obama's healthy lunch program became a symbol of everything her critics disliked about her. She tried to sell wilted spinach and mystery quinoa as a revolution, but to millions of students and parents, it felt like a punishment. Gutfeld and others painted it as a war crime on taste buds, a perfect example of elitist overreach. She wasn't inspiring people to be healthy. She was forcing soggy kale on them with the authority of the White House. This wasn't just a failed policy. It was a PR catastrophe that transformed her from an aspirational figure into a nagging nanny-in-chief.
Michelle Obama has openly admitted that she and Barack sleep in separate bedrooms. Here's how it works. She sleeps downstairs, and he likes men.
Just good to see everybody having a good time. The country's almost back to normal before World War III. COVID was just so strange. We lost a lot of people during COVID, and most of them are still alive. Yeah. Before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon. I think Michelle Obama's got a dick. I think Pizzagate is real. I think there's direct energy weapons in Antarctica.
As her public policies drew fire, the whispers about her private life grew louder. Greg Gutfeld, with his signature smirk, took aim when Michelle was conspicuously absent from a former president's funeral. He threw out speculations on live television, wondering aloud if she was recovering from secret surgery. Then he delivered the real bombshell, casually adding, "Or there's trouble in paradise between Barack and Michelle." He claimed to have heard things, planting a seed of doubt about the perfect political marriage. This was amplified by jokes about the couple sleeping in separate bedrooms, a rumor Michelle herself had confirmed. The narrative of the idyllic power couple was suddenly under siege, and the attacks were becoming deeply personal.
Let me warn you, your rage does not exist in a vacuum. If we don't get this election right, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage. To make these choices clear to the men that we love, our lives are worth more than their anger and disappointment.
What's that pitter-patter sound I'm hearing in the background? It's the footsteps of Barack running to vote for Trump. Michelle thinks American men suck.
Someone put on Instagram, I believe, that Tim Dillon's video where he was saying that Michelle Obama should run for president. If she won, she could pull her cock out and China would just give up. I was fucking wheezing. I couldn't breathe. Big Mike.
Big Mike.
These personal jabs, however, were nothing compared to the conspiracy that had been lurking in the darkest corners of the internet, which was about to be dragged into the mainstream. The Big Mike theory, the outlandish claim that Michelle Obama is a transgender woman, became the ultimate weapon in the war against her image. Commentators began to state it openly, not as a joke, but as a known fact. It was a shocking, brutal attack designed to invalidate everything about her: her femininity, her role as a mother, and her identity as a woman. Whether true or not, the persistence of the rumor served its purpose. It was the point of no return, an accusation so extreme it shattered any remaining illusion of her being off limits.
They know that they're having a hard time with men.
Right.
Doesn't seem like this is so, Kat, the right strategy.
No.
She basically says that they're hurting women by voting for Trump.
But I think they don't understand that where it comes from in the first place is that people are sick of being told how bad they are and talked down to, and you know, the condescension doesn't work. None of what they're doing really works. I mean, the Walls AOC live stream of them playing Madden together was supposed to be to get like dudes who like football on their side, and they did it during football.
Rumors continue to escalate for the Obamas. Hopefully they can settle it like men.
With her personal life and policies under constant assault, critics turned their attention to the very foundation of her post-White House fame, her brand. Rogan and Gutfeld saw her multi-million-dollar Netflix deals, her best-selling memoir Becoming, and her self-help podcast not as genuine expressions of self, but as calculated products from a world-class brand manager. Gutfeld described her speeches as inspirational sludge, like a Tony Robbins seminar held in a Whole Foods. Rogan mocked her meticulously curated persona, calling it political tofu, bland, preachy, and somehow everywhere. She wasn't a person anymore. She was a living, breathing, inspirational poster, smiling with the quiet menace of someone who definitely judges your grocery cart.
Even if they run Michelle. According to a new poll, Michelle Obama isn't as strong a Democratic candidate against former President Donald Trump as many Dems would have you believe. In a hypothetical matchup, my favorite kind. Trump wins with 47% of the vote compared to Michelle Obama's 44%. I guess some of the kids whose school lunches she ruined are finally old enough to vote. Remember that? And what?
Even her most famous motto was put under the microscope and declared a fraud. When they go low, we go high, was presented by Gutfeld not as a noble philosophy, but as one of the most passive-aggressive slogans in political history. The subtext, he argued, was simple. We're better than you, and here's a bumper sticker to prove it. It perfectly captured what critics felt was at the core of her brand. A quiet, smiling condescension. She wasn't unifying people. She was judging them from a self-appointed moral high ground. And that one phrase became the ultimate symbol of her perceived superiority.
None of what they're doing really works. I mean, the Walls AOC live stream of them playing Madden together was supposed to be to get like dudes who like football on their side, and they did it during football. Like, who's consulting them on this stuff?
Yeah. It's
a woman, probably, also.
It's a gay man.
This all fed into the central paradox of Michelle Obama, the woman who built a brand on being relatable while living a life of unimaginable privilege. She talked about the struggle from mansions with teams of bodyguards, stylists, and personal chefs. Rogan pointed out that her public persona was like one long, uninterrupted episode of The View, wrapped in soft moralism and baked until beige. The media played along, treating her every move like a historic event. Gutfeld mocked the press for writing entire op-eds about a cardigan, asking when Banana Republic became a political statement. The glowing coverage was so relentless it became suspicious. Her idea of adversity, as Gutfeld joked, was probably running out of organic quinoa. In the end, what Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld exposed wasn't a monster or a political mastermind. They peeled back the layers of a perfectly polished brand to reveal a meticulous operator. She is the queen of curated struggle, the empress of empowerment buzzwords, and the first lady of filtered authenticity. She built an empire on selling a version of herself that was inspiring, flawless, and completely detached from reality. The woman who preached simplicity from palaces and humility from the cover of Vogue became a one-woman industry of sugar-coated smugness. And perhaps the most telling part is the punchline her critics love to use. When they go low, she goes high, but she'll charge you $29.99 for the book about the journey.